Yay! Hello, 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 sisters. So wonderful to be here with you all. I am excited to be here for this moon's Rose Circle transmission. It's Elaine Kalila, and I am going to wait to see that there are some of you in the room. So as soon as you get into this room, if you could do a sound check with me and tell me you can hear me, that would be fabulous. So I'm just going to wait for a moment to get started because I really want to make sure that you can hear me. Let me see in the room. Looks like people are coming in slowly. Renee, looks like you're in the room with us. Can you hear me, sister? If you can, just type into the chat window. That would be very, very useful. Yay. So we're just waiting right now. If you have any problems for tech issues, you can go into the Facebook group and you can talk with Elizabeth there. And let me see. Yes, Renee, fabulous. You're in the room. Great. So we're just going to wait for a moment as others are joining us. And I just want to be in a very, very deep bow of welcome to the Temple of the Muse. We are entering into this glorious moon. We get to spend the whole moon really deepening into our ability, our flexibility, our spontaneity, our inspiration, our playfulness, our creativity. This moon is all about embodying the novel, embodying the different, embodying the breaking out of limitation. The Muse brings to us an incredible offering and gift. So as we move out of the Lady of Communion moon and into the Muse moon, we are going to feel a shift in energy. So I'm just checking to see if there's anyone else present in the room. It's very interesting. There's only one of us here right now, which seems very small. Yeah. So looks like you have there's some technical issues going on. I am just going to put the link to join us live in the Facebook group. So here it is. I'm going to do this right now so that we make sure that we have, here is the link to join us live. Yeah, that's the link. Yeah, so we're going to continue. Here we go. So I'm going to continue. Someone's gotten in here. So I know it means that not everybody is locked out of the room. And I am going to continue as if you were here, because you are in timelessness. So let us talk about what the Muse is all about, shall we? I want you to feel into this aspect of yourself that has been here since the beginning. Since the very moment that you were a tiny spark of inspiration that decided and chose to shoot like a star across the galaxy, to shoot like a star across the great divide, and to come down and in like a falling star of absolute gorgeousness and beauty into this physical form. There is a spark of deep and powerful and potent playful creativity that lives at the heart of every cell in our body. Every aspect of us is that we were born from the stars, that we were born out of seemingly the impossible void, that we came out of nothingness into somethingness, and that movement of nothing through to something is the feeling of what spontaneity is, our ability to embody the beauty of who we are in all the novel ways. Now, I want you to imagine the Muse as the totem of the butterfly, or the hummingbird, or the dolphin. These are her animals. Her color is turquoise blue. Her tool is the wand, and she is the aspect of us who is able to create magic. And magic is simply a choice in how we see things. It is a shift in perception. It is our ability to be able to play with the reality constructs of the reality silly putty that exists in a apparently structured form when we look at it, right? The muse, in her playful innocence, is able to turn things on their head, on their side, upside down, back to front, inside out, and see things from a deeply different view. Oh, I'm seeing others coming to the room now. That's fabulous. Great. So the question that we are being asked from the mystery this moon is, how are you being called to embody your creativity at a deeper level? How are you being called to stretch the reality silly putty of your life out of the confines of the rigidity, right, of what we think reality actually is? And what that really means is our ability and our availability to novelty. The muse is novel in the sense that she challenges us to get out of the box. Let me out of the box of our labels, our identifications, our ways we say it is. You know, this is how life is. These are my beliefs. These are the things that I think are the things that have to happen in order for things to happen, right? The muse is the one who comes in and says, I'm done with that. I don't wish to live in that reality, because that reality is structure taken on into the form of rigidity. Now, I want you to feel this in your own body for a moment. So we're going to do a little game. The muse is all about playing games, consciousness games, games playing with reality, games that break us out of the norm of who it is that we think we are. So I want you to have a little moment, to have a little think with your musy mind. And I'm going to ask you to feel into one of the labels that you are most identified with. One of the things that you say, oh, I am this, and oh, I am that. For example, I'll start the game off and you can join me. The game is, oh, well, you know, I'm a priestess and I'm a psychotherapist and I am very, very, very extremely well trained and I'm extremely able to do all kinds of marvelous things. And of course, I'm also a crystal light weaver and I'm a this and I'm a that. You get the story? Yes, I'm a vegetarian, said Beth Catherine. I'm spiritual. Well, so am I. So I want you to feel playfully the attachments that you have to being a somebody. And the muse wants us to play with it, because this is what alchemically the muse offers us, is the opportunity to feel where we have become codified and rigid through our ego identifications with who it is we think we are, and how when we get into that structured form, right, how we bring everything down into a structure and we say, well, I'm a this and I'm a that and I'm an another, right? What we are actually doing is closing off the system to the possibility of the greater than imagined potential of who we actually are, which is none of those things. For who you are is so amazing, so splendiferous, so enormous, so big, so bright, that it couldn't possibly be contained inside one or two or even three or even five roles or identities. And so the muse wants us to realize that everything that appears fixed, everything that appears solid, actually isn't. She's a quantum physicist at heart. And when you think about it from this angle, right? Ultimately, everything that appears solid, you, me, the chair I'm sitting on, right, the computer screen in front of me, is in fact not solid. In fact, this human body is actually completely fluid, in the sense that there is more empty space in here than matter. Do you get that? Oh, yeah. Here comes some muses in the room. Hooray, hooray. You got through the door. So much attachment, says Vida. Yet I find myself tiring of the intense seesaw of valuation and devaluation. Oh, I know that story. It is just plain tiring. I'm calling in and welcoming in awareness and equanimity. Vida, let's call in some play, this exhausting game that we're stuck in. Anyone else exhausted by this game? I can see there's more of you in the room. I'd love to hear from you as you're getting in here. Who is exhausted by the game? Oh, by the game. Can we talk about the game of this reality? I don't know about you, but it exhausts me. All of the red tape, all of the things that we're meant to do, all of the things that we have to do, all of the mundane. Oh, and the muse comes in and she says, okay, the more you focus on it, the more you create it. The more you focus on it, the more you create it. She's the invitation to bring lightness, sparkle, wackiness, off the wallness, craziness into our systems to break up stuck energy through play and creativity. Oh, I see all our muses are gathering at the World Muse Convention here. Yay! Oh, I'm laughing and giggling now, sharing this together. Yay, 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 yay. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Let's all do it together. Okay, this is what we do when we're sick of it. Are you ready for the sick of it mudra that breaks up energy? Are you going to join me here? Because I love company in this one. Ready? Oh, I find that if we do that on a regular basis, we'll feel much better. So this is the thing. Alchemically speaking, the muse invites us to embody a principle. And the principle that she invites us to embody is the one where we magically have the ability to change form. So I want you to think for a moment about the playful energy of form and formlessness, moving in between forms. Okay, so we can go from fixed and solid to vaporous and airy, and back down into liquid, and back down into fixed, right? We have the capacity to do this, but we have to enter into the realm of inspiration, which brings levity and lightness into the situation. You know, structure and form can become so dense and heavy, right? And when they are not serving the higher good, it's even more dense and even more heavy. So I want us to feel all of that heaviness for a moment in our bodies, the heaviness of the world, the heaviness of all of the things that seem so ridiculous. Like, really? This is the game we elected to play? And I just want you to feel that all in your body for a moment. Okay, just heavy, heavy, heavy. All the limitations, all the no, all the have to, all the things that seem to shut us down every single day. Okay, this is Eeyore. You know the character Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? It's Eeyore who's the one who goes, oh, everything is so hard. Everything's terrible. And guess who comes along when Eeyore does that? Do any of you know Winnie the Pooh? Winnie the Pooh is one of my most favorite storybooks in the world. My muse loves Winnie the Pooh. Oh, and there's a story in here. So when I was a little girl, this is the holographic pickup. So the muse doesn't care if there's a linear aspect to what she's doing. She's going to go with the flow. So what I'm hearing the muse wants me to speak about is when I was a little girl, I grew up just down the road from Pooh Bridge. Now, I know that sounds outlandish and you're like, oh, really? But I did. I grew up in a forest called Ashdown Forest, which is where A.A. Milne wrote Winnie the Pooh. So when I grew up, I actually thought that Winnie the Pooh lived down the road from my house because down the road from my house was the Pooh Bridge, which is where Piglet and Pooh played Pooh Sticks. So you better believe that I played Pooh Sticks with Piglet and Pooh every weekend. We would go to the Pooh Bridge and play. And I knew that Pooh was there, as Piglet was too. So the holographic overlay of the muse bringing this story to you is this moon is all about getting back in touch with your divine innocence, the playful child within you, what you loved to do when you were a little being. So let's take a moment because this is what she wants us to do. Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I'm going to have to put my seeing goggles back on to see who's here. Oh, goody. Oh, goody. They're in the room. Oh, Yay! I'm exhausted by the game and choose wildness. I'm laughing and jumping in the alchemical dance of the magic. Okay, yes, Renee, you guessed it. You guessed who comes into Eeyore when Eeyore gets too heavy? It is Tigger. And the wonderful thing about Tigger is I'm the only one. It's bouncy, 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 bounce, 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 bounce. The wonderful thing about Tigger is I'm the only one. Okay, so what element does Tigger bring to Eeyore? Just feel it for a moment. There is deep mystical teaching in the Tao of Pooh, as you well know. He was an ascended master, in fact, as was Piglet, as was Tigger of his own kind. And so I want you to feel, what is the element that Tigger brings? Beth Catherine, play, play. Yes, it's play. Oh, thank God for the play. So what Tigger does is, poor old Eeyore is standing there, as we all are, going, oh my God, this is so hard. Oh my God, I can't possibly do it. I'm going to give up, right? Anyone have a day like that? I'm in one right now. Can you tell? I'm transmuting for the collective because I'm so done with being strangled by the stupidity. The apparent stupidity of structure that doesn't work to encourage us to be in our truth and our authenticity and our realness. So the levity that Tigger brings is the element of air. He literally bounces. He bounces like he is on a trampoline, and he breaks up energy through his kinetic movement. And this movement, imagine transmuting into hummingbird, hummingbird. Now we're into the frequency of the vibration that is so fast you can hardly see it. Mercurial, hermetic. We are flying through the dimensions because we have sped up the frequency of light in our being by inviting in levity and air and play. Right? So this element of magic, of shifting states, of allowing ourselves to, through whatever means we can, to disrupt the patterns of heaviness and apparent stuckness and places in our life where we feel limited, places in our lives where we don't feel alive. Play is a transformational tool. Play in of itself is, and I want to read this to you. This is now very serious. I hope you are all completely getting on your serious glasses because I'm going to share something very, very important with you. Are you ready? Are you ready to receive this? The hummingbirds were flying around my head in the backyard as they were mine. Vida, I'm amazed at the synchronicity because I just did a ritual on this. Why are you so amazed, magical sister? We are but one being connecting into the super highway of consciousness that belongs to all of us who are participating in the game. Yay! This, dear. Okay, ready. Are we ready for this transmission on play? Play is the practice ground of the emerging, evolving self. Play is not a luxury. It is a means to spiritual freedom. For the time that we are playing, we suspend our need to be in control. Imagine that. And instead, we delight. We wonder. We discover. We allow. Often, hang on a second. Back up. Got to get into the right place here. We open our hearts. We feel and express authentically. We act spontaneously, outrageously, hilariously, without thinking. We are getting something of value in return. Often the most valuable insights and awareness emerge. The most creative solutions have room to find a new perception, inspiration, intuition, guidance has a chance to creatively burst through our routine, prescribed modes of functioning. Seriousness is the dread of the unpredictable outcomes of open possibility. I want to say that one more time, lest you didn't catch that. Are you ready? Seriousness is the dread of the unpredictable outcomes of open possibility. To be serious is to press for a specified conclusion. Get it? To be playful is to allow for possibility to emerge. Being playful means being in the unknown. Being serious means coming from a contrived idea of what it is that you think is the right way to do something, and therefore has a contrived outcome. And within that system, nothing new can actually exist. Nothing new can be birthed because there is a predetermined outcome already being controlled through the seriousness of the moment. So I want you to just own up right now. How many of you, honestly, can be over serious? I put my hand up. Yes, I can be over serious. I want you to literally out yourself right now. If you know that you can suffer from over seriousness, and to own up to it. Lauren, I witness you, darling. Thank you for being so wonderful. I put my hand up. And what are the symptoms of over seriousness? Can we just discuss that for a moment? How does over seriousness feel in your system? Mary, yes. Oh, hell yes, says Renee. Oh, hell yes, I can be serious. I'll put my hand up to that. Okay, Sarah, yep. Kit, owning the over serious. Kit, how over serious are you today? Lauren, I wasn't always that way and I want to break the habit. I know it's a sneaky little darndest little diabolical habit, this seriousness. And guess who I have noticed can take themselves rather seriously? The priestesses, those priestesses, they can be a bit over serious, including myself. And when I look at the state of the world, I can get really over serious because I feel so responsible. I feel so responsible to actually show up and make a difference. And sometimes that can result in me being over serious. So how are you being over serious? Fluttery, chaos, contraction, overdetermined, frozen, paralysis, grumpity, grump. Oh, I love that, Peter. I want us to all do this. This is a great mantra. Okay, look in your chat box and let's do it together. Fluttery, chaos, contraction, overdetermined, frozen, paralysis, grumpity, frump. I love that as a mudra mantra for the Muse. Grumpity, frump. Exactly. That feeling of when we get stuck and we're in the problem. How many of you get stuck in the problem and you start to circle around the problem? You start to go down the spiral into the problem, into the structure of the problem, into the density of the problem, right? It's an orientation of how we look at life. And when we get stuck in that place, the first thing to go is our spontaneity and our creativity and our playfulness. You know, I have built my life around reclaiming my play. It's a very important issue. And the reason being is because as a young being, I knew that play, open-ended, non-directional, non-productive time was real. It was the place where fantasy came into reality and where the dimensions opened and the veils between the dimensions became thin and we were able to go back and forth. It was as a child, right? Remembering always suggests it's in the past, and we all know that's a lie, right? Because past and present and future are just designations that we put on this thing that we think is linear that's not. Time is something that is to be experienced in the present moment as holographically multiple dimensions simultaneously happening. So this is my question to you. As a little being, what is it that you loved most? What is it that was so joyful to you when you were a little being? Just feel it for a moment. Just ask that question. And it could be the simplest of things. For me, one of my absolute joys as a little girl was to go into the woods, particularly when the bluebells were blooming, and to be with all the flower fairies who I had a very intimate relationship with, and all the elementals that I knew and trusted, and the tree people that I knew were my friends, especially Mr. Faraway Tree, who had a special hole in him that when you would go inside, you would travel to all other kinds of dimensions. And that was what my greatest joy was. And making fairy circles and having little tea parties with the fairies in the woods, where I would bring all of the little teacups from the tea play set that I had, my grandmother had given me, with little biscuits and cakes on it to share with the fairies. So what was yours? Let's hear some of yours. I want to be wondered and awed by your little girls, by your innocent divine self. I want to meet that aspect of you that is so sparkly and alive, because that's what this moon is about. Kittens, says Listen. Oh, so cute. Kittens and kittens. So I want us to feel the presence of kittens and what they bring to us. That little, how you can't resist it, right? Can't resist entering into that space of delight and wonder and awe. Sharon says, pretending I was a wild stallion, wild and free. Oh, I love that. Who else was a wild stallion? I also thought I was a horse, only I had a horse that was purple with yellow daisies on it. And if I seem to remember correctly, although I might be making this up at this point, so who knows, but in the ballet class that I was in as a little girl, I was told off for being too rambunctious because my pony wanted to keep galloping and galloping. I didn't want to stop and do any plies. I just wanted to continue to gallop freely around the room because that was what was most fun. I ended, Renee says, playing horses and making my bed in a boat that would sail around the world and have adventures. Oh, I love it. Sana, I ended up watching this in my sauna. It's not on, but still a bit unconventional. I love it. You're good. If it was on, it might be a bit hot, love, to be watching this. Beth Catherine, mermaid, all about the mermaids, being a mermaid while swimming. Oh, how lovely. Lauren, picking berries in the field nearby, drawing on the driveway in chalk, creating cities, having tea parties, creating forts with a sheet and a moss carpet. Ooh, I love it. Vida, talking to the moon goddess, she's singing her songs, making stone offerings to the river, making fanciful garden meals out of fresh flowers and vegetables. Suzanne, I think exploring the woods and the beach and the desert, examining plants and rocks and marveling at their composition. So yes, remembering. You're alerting me to all the ones I'm remembering. Making cloud pictures. I would lie in the hammock that was slung between two apple trees. And in England, we had the most amazing cloud formations because the weather was never the same for more than 5 minutes. And so the clouds would roll through, and those clouds were the chariots on which I rode, and the dragons and the monsters and the angels and the fairies who were flying through the skies, right? So all of these things, finding flowers to make flower altars and to make pictures out of, collecting berries and plants to make homemade dye from, and dyeing wool, and then spinning and knitting with my grandmother. These were all the things that lit me up in joy as a child. And why is that important? Why would we be asking this inside the Temple of the Muse? Because the remembrance and embodiment of our divine innocence, of our awe, the awakening of our capability. That's like a caterpillar, It's apparently awakening the capacity of our caterpillar-like nature, which of course holographically is exactly what she does, because we are in the rite of the chrysalid when we're in the Muse, which we are going from the caterpillar, and we are moving ourselves through our inner knowing of transmutation, right? Dissolving who we are, literally, and being in the nutritive soup that is created. And from that comes the butterfly. Oh, now we're into the butterflies. That's why we wanted to come through to the symbol of the butterfly and why that's associated with the Muse. So let's feel into that for the moment. What is the medicine of butterfly? Why would the Muse want us to feel our affinity with the butterflies? Let's just feel it for a moment. And I want to invite you to feel into the realm. We went from hummingbird through to butterfly, And so let's feel the butterfly element here. I'm aware that butterflies bring us to the heart of that alchemical process of dissolving one structure and a new structure emerging. That's like emerging and burgeoning. We just made up a word. Are you emerging? I do believe you are. That's another thing the Muse loves to do, is to make up novel combinations. Novel combinations of things that you would never normally put together. The Muse wants to put together because she wants to break the old patterns and develop and create newness. That is where everything comes from. And the more wonder and awe and delight that it brings, the more that it releases that creativity in us to actually create newness. Isn't that fun? Let me see. Oh, Beth Gavin said, butterflies, they're free and they go up and down and round and round. And the mermaids are uniting with the butterflies. And who else comes into the picture? So this is the magical realm where anything is possible. And this is the mantra. Here, here, now, all things are possible. So I want you to practice it with me because you're going to want to use this moon. Here, here, now, all things are possible. 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 And this is not to say that things are always easy, although they could be. If you choose them to be, it could just be easy. Have it be easy. Because the Muse is about flowing between different states of being, from form to formlessness, from matter through to gas, through to air, through to sparkles of inspiration, and then she comes back down into a new form, breaks apart old form, creates new form, constantly in service to novelty. You see here. Full body tingles with that mantra. Ooh, I'm thinking of the Mad Hatter. Why would you be thinking of the Mad Hatter? I mean, for real. Alice in Wonderland? Oh my, that feels like it's the realm of the Muse. Down the rabbit hole we go, into a land where time melts and all things begin to be possible. So this is what the Muse wants you to know. Is your imagination. The imaginal selves. Oh, this is another holographic weave. We're playing the game today of the glass bead game, which is literally following the waves of inspiration wherever they go and picking up the threads to create the weave. Okay, so the weave right now is the thread that we were just given is the imaginal selves, which bring us back to the butterfly, which bring us back to the natural state of emergent consciousness, emerging consciousness, which is what we all are in this moment playing that game. We are collectively the emergent consciousness playing the game of creativity in this 3D, apparently 3D realm, bringing things into form and dissipating them out of form to allow new form to take place. This is at the heart of alchemy in any face of the goddess. Doesn't matter which one you go to, she is essentially, in some part of her journey, asking us to let go of old form to receive new form. And the Muse does it through, you guessed it, play and laughter and wackiness and ridiculousness and outrageousness and the willingness to actually be free of the idea that we have to worry about what other people are thinking of us because they might think we're too crazy. So I now want to ask you a question. How many of you, and you can raise your hand up to this, how many of you have shut down your playfulness because of the fear of judgment from others, or because you yourself have judged it, or because you somehow worry that your Muse won't be taken seriously enough? Okay, I want you to feel, because this is one of the tragedies, might we say, of our current reality, is that children are born And then they are put into incarcerated schools for the first 18 years of their life, where most of the time, every ounce of their creativity is not really encouraged, but is educated out of them, socialized out of them. Right now, there are some educational institutions that don't do that, but in the norm, that's our idea of education. Anyone ever said that? No wonder we get shut down. No wonder we start to close in on ourselves and start to forget who we actually are, right? Here, let me put on my goggles again. I can honestly say I have not, but I can definitely even push it even more. Thank you, Beth Catherine. Yay, I'm witnessing you. Excuse me. I somehow linked being called or known as silly as an insult. Yeah, I love silliness in others. That's it. Silliness has this idea of derision, right? It's a looking down upon. Oh, you're just being silly. Oh, that's so silly. Don't be silly. And yet, what are we really doing there? We're saying to somebody, come on, be more serious. You can't just live life like that. Bills have to be paid. Well, that's the truth. But do I have to be serious to pay the bills? Do I have to be serious to interact with the bank manager? Do I have to be serious in order to actually live my life? I really want us to question this idea that being serious has some kind of gravitas and some kind of aspect to it that is somehow more valuable than our wonder, our awe, our silliness, our hilarity, our ability to laugh at ourselves and each other and change up the situation and transform it. You tell me, is one more important than the other? My poor playful, as the eldest child of a narcissistic mother, I didn't do much playing. I think I may have judged the play out of myself, perhaps through her lens. Monty Python discovered at age 15, brought my silliness to the surface. The Ministry of Silly Walks. Does anyone else know the Ministry of Silly Walks? I remember that. The Life of Brian and Monty Python was a big part of my childhood for sure, being English. But the truth is that aspect of our absurdity is one of the tools of the Muse, is to shift things up. It's a natural tendency. And within the healing arts, we know that play in of itself is healing, returns us to our state of spontaneous health, our ability to be flexible, to be fluid, right? With strength. We need structure in there. We surely need muscles and bones to hold that fluidity. I won't say that we don't, but in your own body, the places where you get stuck and where you get rigid and you get held down are places that need more spontaneity and more fluidity. So you might even ask yourself, where am I kind of feeling stuck in my body right now? That is a great question to ask. Okay, I'm coming back with my goggles to see. Only in some parts of my online business stuff am I over serious, but in my home life, I'm so playful and silly. Thank goodness, Vida, I witness you. Silly! My poor playfulness got stifled by, Suzanne, I'm waiting to hear the rest of that sentence. Tell us what it got stifled by, sister, so we can help free it up. Okay, I grew up with the black sheep label, says Renee, because I was always living creatively. It wasn't meant as an insult, but it always made me feel different and misunderstood. I get that, right? Lauren says, my silliness got squashed when I started in my corporate world many years ago. And now that I work for myself, I still miss the silly side of me in my business, witnessing you. Suzanne says, I got my playfulness got stifled by myself and others and too tired for fun. But I cleared my schedule and don't really mind what others think so much of me anymore. Yay! What a relief that is, right? Not caring what other people think of us, because that inhibits our silliness. Anik says, I am known to heal people with my laughter through the door of the waiting room years ago. Dramas made me seriously serious, but I'm being caught being my true crazy self again. Yay! Here, now, all things are possible. Thank God. I often get the projection that I can be quite serious too, which is absolutely not the truth, as you can imagine, but it is. See, that's the thing. there is this continuum between seriousness and silliness. And that polarity is what the Muse is all about. She's about coming in those moments where we are laboring, where we're trying, where we're pushing, where we're huffing and puffing through the world, where we're seeing the world through the lens of form and limitation. And what she wants us to realize is that the magic is always available. And the magic is the most important ingredient in the cake that we're baking called life. Because when we come to that which has become stifled and mundane and pedantic, right? And we come to that and we bring the sparkle of spontaneity and the unexpected. That which is stifled, that which is stuck, has the opportunity to be alchemized into something new. So any of you ever feel tired looking at the structures of the world that don't work and wonder what contribution you can make? Apparently, this is the contribution that we can make in this moment, because the Muse says to risk bringing something completely different. And Monty Python used to do this randomly. I'm now having a holographic pickup from Monty Python. What they did, they actually would do a skit, and then halfway through the skit, they would do a pattern interrupt, completely absurd pattern interrupt without finishing the skit, and they would go, and now for something completely different. And then they would veer off at an angle that would have you go, what? What's going on? And they did it on purpose to break the monotony of the expected into the unexpected. And it was that absurdity that made them so popular, because it made no sense, nonsense. Oh no, not nonsense, but nonsensical to what? To the rational mind that's following the narrative of the story to the expected conclusion. No, how boring. We're not boring God anymore. We're not boring God anymore. We're not boring God anymore. Okay? So the risk for this moon is to actually mess things up a little. Okay? Coming back over to here. Oh my God, you help me have an aha. When I am pedantic, my player magic goes out the window. Oh, goody! Peter, let's feel your pedantic. Everyone feel their pedantic self. I have a very pedantic self who can get all yes, needs to know what everything's doing and how everything's going to go and what's happening and blah, 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 right? Okay, so let's... That was absolutely ridiculous, wasn't it? But that's the whole point. I was blessed. I want you to think about the people that have played with you in your life for a moment. Let's feel into who's the most playful person that you know. It can be past, present, or future. I'm thinking, of course, right now of my grandmother, Olive. Now, Olive Constance was 5'0", actually 4'9", but she would say 5'0". She was a tiny, tiny, tiny woman. And she used to say, her favorite saying was, good things come in small packages, and so does arsenic. And that was her humor. She loved to break things up. She didn't play by the rules. She was wacky. She would run around the house squealing and making chicken noises to break up the energy. When she didn't agree with somebody, she would just look at them and she would put out her nose and go, like that. She would literally do that as a reply to somebody who was boring her. And, people thought she was kind of crazy. Because you know what? She kind of was crazy. But what she had in spades was the willingness to play with reality and to shift energy through play. So I want, just pulled my own hair. I want you to think about who are the people that you've played with the most in your life. I want to see here. I had to look at what pedantic meant. Oh, that's good. Pedantic. Beth Catherine, what was the definition of pedantic? I'd like to know the official pedantic question here. I'd like to know what that actually means, if you don't mind, because I'm a very serious wordsmith who likes to know the meaning of things would be very important. So if you could help me. Perfectionist. Oh, yes, pedantic and perfectionist. How brilliant. How brilliant. Pedantic, pedant. Many of the essays are long and dense and too pedantic to hold great appeal. Synonymous with over, scrupulous, precise, exact, professional, fussy, finicky, and fastidious. Oh, hello, Miss Fussy Pants, Miss Fastidious Pants. Oh, it's exhausting. So we have to be invited to play with those aspects of ourselves, and that's the point. I love it. I just looked it up just to be extra pedantic. Woo-hoo! Yes, exactly. Well, now you're into the game. And the game for this month is to see where you're attached to your identities and your labels, and where you're attached to being so serious that you forget to play. And then the answer to that is, are you willing to play with it? To play with your own patterns of over-seriousness, of stuckness, of pedanticness, perfectionism, those places where you judge yourself, when you say, I'm not creative enough, she's more creative than me, I can't write, I can't sing, I can't dance. So those are the places that we're being asked to play with. Now, in my old world, where I used to spend much more time as a clinician looking at the problems of life, and this was before I decided to transit into this world where I'm creating a new reality with you all in such a definite way. Play was a therapy, right? I was trained as a play therapist, as an expressive arts therapist, as a drama therapist. And at the heart of all of that was the ability of play to be one of the most powerful, healing, transformational forces that we as human beings have access to. And the ability to which we can play is a marker of our emotional, spiritual, physical, mental health. Because play is all to do with being able to handle the unexpected, being able to turn things around to the positive for ourselves, being able to transform potentially challenging moments into moments of healing and vulnerability, being able to be innocent, being able to tap into our original creative impulses, being able to create newness out of oldness, being able to move forward in our lives and embrace all the ways in which we are challenged and all the ways in which we are constantly changing and being faced with situations that are novel, that we need to come up with novel responses to. So that is at the heart of the Muse. You know, there are so many faces to the Muse. There's the innocent child. There's the hilarious, outrageous pattern interrupter who will go into a grocery store and instead of just standing at the checkout and behaving like a normal human being doing their grocery shopping, will decide to break into a little dance and invite the checkout person to do the dance with them. This is, by the way, one of your challenges for this moon. I just did it in the bank. Are you proud of me? I was just in the bank before I came here and I was getting ready for the Muse and she was already up and out. And so I just was sitting there doing a bank transaction with this lovely young banker woman. And she looked at me and she said, how's your day going? And rather than saying, oh, it's good, I turned back to her and I went, it's a bit like this. How's your day going? And she just stopped and looked at me. And then she couldn't help but start giggling. And I said, well, what's the interpretive dance of your day, darling? And she even joined in a little bit, although she got, it was a little bit edgy for her, but it was an invitation. So that's one of your challenges for this moon in embodying this energy, is to take a normal everyday situation and to do something novel and unexpected. To actually invite in the innocent playfulness of the other. Now, this is the Tigger meets Eeyore moment. You know that one? That's archetypally what we're talking about, is the willingness when you meet an Eeyore moment to come along with Tigger. That's Piglet and Tiglet. Piglet and Tigger together. Piglet and Tigger together make a Tiglet. Oh my goodness, she's playing with my words today in quite a fashion. So your ability and your willingness to bring a Tigger to an Eeyore moment, or any other version of that might work for you. But it's ultimately your willingness. So the challenges are this. Challenges! Everybody put your challenge t-shirt on. Get ready and on your marks. Get set, go! Release yourself into the world. I had a visual there. I was all running into the world with our magic wands and our bubbles and our sparkles and daring the world to play with us. Because this is what we know for sure, is we are co-creating with the world. And the more that we play with it, the more we invite the play. Because the play is the thing that has been so subdued in so many of us in our culture, right? Our ability to be able to play, especially in the West, has been compromised because we have so much on our plates and so much that we think we have to do and so much that we don't have time to play. But play isn't something you do. Play is a state of being. So you could still do all the things you do, but decide to play with it rather than to take it so seriously. Aha, here, now, all things are possible. Coming back with the reading goggles. Okay, here we go. Elizabeth says, I'm afraid I may have to start putting play and being silly on my calendar. Schedule it. Anik says, when I made pancakes with my nieces and taught them to make them stick to the ceiling of the kitchen, that was the most fun I ever had. Children couldn't believe they were allowed to be crazy like me. Oh, I wish I'd been there, Anik. Oh my God, that is awesome. Oh my God, that is awesome. Thank you for sharing. That made my day. God, that's hysterical. I just have a visual of you chucking pancakes up to the ceiling and the kids just going, oh, you're not allowed to do that, are you? Says who? Oh, wow. I'm kind of like that in the grocery store anyway. Suzanne, yay. Thank you for being like that. And Tasha says, I finally got in. Welcome, Antasha. The recording will be available to you. Sometimes technology does its dance with us. Renee says, me too, Suzanne. It's great fun with my 13-year-olds. Lots of eye rolling. Brilliant. There's nothing better than making a teenager roll their eyes. I mean, honestly, that's what they're made for, right? So let us feel into this for a moment. We're being called to embody the Muse, right? Each one of our transmissions in these moons is not about thinking about the goddess, right? We're in the Artful Priestess Rose Circle. We're really here with the invitation of the embodiment practices, the ways that we can actually call forward the archetypes into our lives in a very direct way. And that's one of the beautiful things about this work in the Rose Circle is that we are once a month given these transmissions, and then we're fed throughout the month, right, with other offerings that help to deepen and root this in our everyday lives. So one of the invitations I want you to make, I want you to make this invitation, apparently. What does that mean? Oh, I want you to make the invitation to the world to play with you, to people to play with you, to actually enter into playfulness and to ask yourself in the situations where you find yourself feeling limited or feeling somehow heavy or stuck in the problem. What if you were to play with it? What if you were to turn that on its head? What if you were to do something completely unexpected and novel in this exact moment that could break the energy? Yeah. I always remember that when I used to work with couples in couples therapy, I don't do that so much anymore, but for a long time, that was a big part of my work. And one of the things I would have them do is play with each other more, because in couples, we tend to go towards established patterns of relating that are closed systems of, well, you're this and I'm that, and this is this and this is that. Right? The more that we get to know each other, the more set in our ways we become, and the more set in ways that we become, the more we go into loops and patterns that are repeating neural pathways, right? And those become set. And as those become set, we keep repeating the same pattern, and it becomes really hard as it gets more and more dense to break the pattern, right? This is true of anything, but really true if anybody in here has ever had a personal relationship with another human being, you might know what I'm talking about. And so those patterns become entrenched. Well, inside your love relationships, you might want to consider breaking that energy up and doing something novel and unexpected. So one of the things that I used to have my couples doing is when they were annoyed with each other and they were getting into having a fight, to do the fight in a different way. ultimately we wanted to stop the fight happening and have them actually talk to each other. But, along the way to that, one of the interventions I would always use is, okay, you can fight with each other right now, but you have to do it singing opera. I'm really upset with you right now. I can't believe you're doing this. And then the partner would have to reply. And the whole reason behind that is because you can't really take yourself seriously when you're having a fight doing opera. Or the other one was, I said, you could have a fight right now and be in disagreement, but you're only allowed to speak in gibberish. Right? You're only allowed to speak in gibberish because you can't take yourself so seriously, and it breaks the neural pathway of the familiar way of doing it. One of the simplest ways to break a pattern is to do something unexpected and really ridiculous. And that ridiculousness is what breaks the trance of where you're stuck. Because all that stuck energy is densified energy. And Tigger comes along and bounces it up. And it has a momentary, beautiful, light moment where as it becomes dissolved into the air, right, it's able to then reconstitute in a new form. And that is one of the things that we have at our fingertips. Okay, goggles back on. Vita says, right, yes, it cracks the door to my, oh my goodness, I am enjoying you. What? I thought I was mad. Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, is the Muse has us peek out from behind the mask of normal behavior, which is the sanctified. What a good word. The stratified, the socially acceptable, the palatable, the correct, the blah, 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 all of that. The Muse goes, I'm behind you. Literally. It's like it's in the Wizard of Oz, right? Oz is the man behind the machine, right? He's there. He's behind there playing this big game of creation. And the thing about the Muse in our lives is when we start to free her up and we start to remember to play and to realize that play is at the heart of spiritual, mystical experience, that play is actually the portal through which we will have access to other dimensions and to bring things through that would be unimaginable to our normal state of consciousness, then we are beginning to expand our capacity to create. So, with that said, Renee says, I must go. Thank you, Playful Women. All right, so we have a couple minutes left, and in that couple of minutes, I want to give you your play work. So creativity requires a willingness to suspend rational thought, to reopen to wonder through the innocence of the perception of a 1-year-old. A 1-year-old expects nothing, knows nothing, doubts nothing, resists nothing, conceptualizes nothing. A 1-year-old is just open, curious, receptive, inventive, spontaneous, unpredictable. In short, a 1-year-old is in an open state of expanded awareness. And so that original state of expanded open awareness, where there are no closed loops and where anything is possible, that's where the mantra, here, here, now, now, all things are possible, comes from. It's not just saying it. It's saying we enter into that state of consciousness that lets go of all that we know for this moment and instead enters into the possibility that everything is able to be shifted. Okay, so this is your homework. In this next moon, I wish to invite you to, these are many, many different creativity games that we could play, but these are some of them. One of them is to go into the world and to interact with the world through play. So whether that is inviting the grocery store person to do a little dance with you, whether it is meeting the eyes of a child and having that moment where you know what she knows, what you know that you're playing, whether it is doing something unexpected in the aisle of the, in the aisle of the airport. Airports are a great place to play, by the way. Oh my goodness. All those people to play with who are all trying to kind of ignore each other, but at the same time are stuck in the same place. Fantastic opportunities for play. inviting that spark to be present in yourself and another in a novel or unusual way. Now, this is your training camp, should you choose to accept it. Doing something totally outrageous and out of character. Playing with putting together novel combinations. So, for example, wearing clothing that really doesn't match according to those people out there, but is a novel combination. Having different kinds of food together, different kinds of activities, mixing it up, even down to doing your daily routine a bit different. Instead of doing the same thing every day, mix it up. Choose to do something different in your morning. Choose to break things up out of their routines, out of their pedantic sense of this is what I do because this is what I do because this is what I've done. All right, move it up. Even down to choosing to brush your teeth with your different hand. That breaks a circuit right there. It sounds so simple, right? Choosing to play music that you haven't listened to in a really long time, or even new music that you've never listened to, right? Choosing to go to a different restaurant than you have ever been to instead of going to the same old restaurant. Choosing to eat a different kind of food. Choosing to do a novel activity that before now you would have said, I'm not doing it because I don't know how. That's a really good one. So identifying something that you may have always wanted to try, but you never have because you are either fearful of failing at it or fearful of not being very good at it, or you somehow had a limitation around it. All right. It's a whole piece that we haven't even got to hear about the Muse. It's about dusting your limitations, but choosing to do something that actually pushes that concept that I can't or I don't know how. Being a beginner at something and being a disaster at it if that's what happens, or being wonderful at it and not caring, doing it just because you're doing it. So for me, example, this moon, I commit to getting the canvas out and getting back to the painting and just painting for the joy of the color on the canvas without giving a damn about what it looks like. I commit to that. That's mine. Anyone else want to commit to a creativity practice right now? Something that you've wanted to do for a while and you've been putting it off. What is it? Okay, I'm going to receive you here, and we can continue this conversation on the Facebook page. I want to set the intention to talk about my passion for Jungian psychology and archetypes in a silly and play. Oh, please, can we please talk about it in a silly and playful way? Oh, good golly, good golly. We have been rife with so much seriousness in the analytic psychological world, right? And yet the basis of it is every flavor has to be present. And play is only silly in the sense that to our normal eyes, it looks ridiculous because it is a pattern interrupter. It's an agitator of the system. Play is being a radical revolutionary in the art of silliness, in the art of transformation, right? Being willing to exit the normal strata and to bring something new and to have people be surprised. Such a gift. And Nick, all my painting material has been out, looking at my perfectionism paralysis. Aha, thank you. Yes, me too. So let's just do it. Let's just get color on a canvas. Can we do that, Anik? I'm going to do it with you. Oh, so good. Vida says, I got it. Polytheistic psyche is utter ridiculous fabulousness. Yes, exactly. Utter ridiculous fabulousness. How could it not be? Lauren says, I intend to play with my camera and all the functions, experimenting without worrying about the outcome, as well as I'd like to doodle on some paper in color. Thank you. Yes, Lauren, I witnessed you painting a butterfly on boards to hand on my deck. On boards to hand on my kit. I don't know what that means, but I love it that you're going to paint butterflies. I'm not entirely sure what you're doing with them, but maybe you're releasing them into the universe. Beautiful. Okay, sewing again, says Suzanne. Yes. And for any of you who are watching this as a transmission, welcome. And for any of you who it's your first time in the Rose Circle, I want to make clear to you that every moon, we go through a different face of the goddess. So I'm not always in the Muse, although actually underneath it all, I probably am, because this is such a comfortable and welcome respite for me personally from the world of the illusion of seriousness. Sana, every day I'm going to give someone an unexpected gift. I've already decided for tomorrow. 10th customer will get a rose petal shower. Oh, Sana, I love that. Oh, I want to be your 10th customer. That makes my heart so happy. Oh, Kit says painting to hang the butterflies. Marvelous. Not to hang them, but to hang them on the wall, to have them be there. How beautiful. Oh, Sana, that's inspiring. So let's all feel the inspiration of each other sharing what we're going to get into, because this is it. Creativity is contagious. Inspiration is contagious. Laughter is really contagious. Humor is contagious. This emotional feeling is contagious, right? So when we start to unlock this in service to ourselves and to the world, we begin to see the world through the eyes of possibility. And then therein lies the magic. So the embodiment of this in our daily lives is our commitment to awakening the muse within us. Are we clear? Here, here, now, now, all things are possible in a reality somewhere near you, should you wish to play with it. Be that as you will. Oh, love, 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 love. Okay, so let's just feel into, for those of you who've been present in the room, present in the temple today to receive the transmission of the muse, I bow to you in utter delight, and I'm so, so grateful for the gift of your play and your brightness and your levity. The wonderful thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one, you're the only one, we're the only ones, there's only one of us here. So I'm getting to end with an ode to Pooh and Piglet and Tigger and Eeyore as archetypes that are communicating with us, metaphorically speaking, and are inviting us into the possibility that we are magic. I'm going to go dance now. Good, Beth Catherine. I'm so happy. You know, and as always, the muse has many, many, many different faces, and we have just aspected one part of her today, which is really to do with divine innocence and freedom. And there are many other aspects, and we don't have chance to explore all of them, but just be aware of how she wants to show up in you. You know, it's an invitation for us to deepen into the world of play. I'm honored to have been here. I am giggling and wiggling in delight. I'm so grateful that in the scope of all of the challenges thus far of this day, for any of us, myself included, that we got to have this time to break it up, to remember, to bring the levity and the play forward. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Butterfly kisses, hummingbird wings, dolphin glistens, in the shining sun sings. May we all depart now and take the magic with us. May we go and sparkle fairy dust all over every being. Blessings, 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 blessings. Until we meet again, loving you. I wish that too, Vida. I wish I could dance around with you all right now and say, here, here, now, now, all things possible. Yay! All right. Blessings, darlings. Until we meet again.